Hello everyone, welcome back to csecmathteacher.com in our classroom. Today we are going to be looking at how to find the equation of a straight line. Coordinate geometry often involves finding the equation of lines, and when you get your CSEC questions, more often than not, you will be asked to find the gradient of a line along with some other aspect of coordinate geometry. To find the equation of a straight line, we can use 2 points, or we can simply use the gradient and a point, and we can use two tools. We can use the tool y equal mx plus c, which is the slope-intercept form of the line, or we can use this more general form to calculate the equation of the straight line. In this video, I will be using this general form to calculate the equation of the straight line, along with the gradient and the point. So let's look at the first question that we have. This question says, they have 2 points. A straight line is drawn through the points A, which is -5, 3, and B, 1, 2, and we are supposed to find the equation of the line. We do not have the gradient, so we need to find what the gradient is. And so we can label our points as x1, y1, x2, y2, and use our formula m equal y2, take away y1, over x2 take away x1. Remember, this represents the rise over the run. So m, our gradient, is 2 take away 3 divided by 1 take away -5. Doing that calculation gives us -1 over 6. And so our m, our gradient, is -1 over 6. Now that we have our gradient, we can use either of these 2 points to write down the equation of the line. Using the formula, y minus y1 equal to m bracket x minus x1, we can use either this point A or this point B to find our answer. Any one of them will give you the answer, and I'm going to do it with both just to show you. So if we use the point -5, 3, then we're going to have y take away 3, because our y1 is 3, is equal to m is -1 over 6, bracket x take away x1, and here x1 is -5, so we're going to say take away -5. So we have y take away 3 is equal to -1 over 6x plus 5. Let's simplify that first. This minus minus gives you a plus. So we can remove our bracket now. Y take away 3 is equal to -1 over 6 times x, and -1 over 6 times 5 would give us a -5 over 6. Now we need to regroup this -3 on the other side of the equation. So we will have y is equal to -1 over 6x minus 5 over 6 plus 3. And when we combine these two together, -5 over 6 plus 3, we end up with y is equal to -1 over 6x plus 2 and 1 over 6. So this becomes the equation of your straight line in the form y equal mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So our gradient is -1 over 6, and our y-intercept is 2 and 1/6. If you had used the point B, which is 1, 2, so let me write the formula again. Y minus y1 is equal to m bracket x minus x1. Then we would say y take away 2 is equal to m, which is -1/6, bracket x take away 1. So y minus 2, let's multiply the bracket out, is -1/2 1 over 6x, negative 1 times a negative 1 here gives us a positive 1 over 6. We need to regroup this 2 to that side of the equation. So we have y is equal to negative 1 over 6x plus 1 over 6 plus 2. And adding these two together gives us 2 and 1 6. So y is equal to negative 1 over 6x plus 2 and 1 6. It is usually up to you, the student, to decide in this case, depending on which one seems easier to you, which point you want to use as the x1, y1, because using either of them will give you the same answer, but one may work out a little bit faster and easier than the other. So you can choose which one you want to use or ignore it completely because it doesn't matter which one you use. So this is the equation of our straight line. Moving on to the next example, we have a question that says a straight line cuts the x-axis, the y-axis at 0, negative 1. We should ideally have a comma there, and has a gradient of 2/3. So we are to show that the equation of the line is 2x minus 3y equals 3. So we have our gradient, this is our gradient, and we have our point x1, y1. And what we need to do now is simply to put our information in the formula into the general equation of the line y minus y1 equal m bracket x minus x1. So let's put that information in there. So y, take away y1, y1 is negative 1. Let's write the negative 1 is equal to m, which is 2/3, bracket x, take away x1, and x1 there is 0. So we have, simplifying this side, minus negative gives us plus. So y plus 1 is equal to 2/3 x. 2/3 times 0 would be 0. So we have, rearranging this 1 to the other side of the equation, our equation becomes y is equal to 2 over 3x minus 1. However, the question said we should make sure our answer looks like this. So how do we get our answer to look like this? Let's start by writing it down again. Y is equal to 2 over 3x minus 1. Well, for one thing, we need to have our x and y on the same side. So, and we need a positive x and a negative y. So if we regroup this y on this side, it will become a negative y. And we can, in that sense, regroup this negative one on the opposite side. So let's do that double regrouping. So the negative one is regrouped to the opposite side, it becomes positive 1, and the 2x remains, and this positive y regroups as negative y. Now, we have our positive x, we have our negative y, but it's still not in that form because this is in a straight line and this one has a fraction. So what we need to do here is to multiply the equation by 3. Once we multiply by 3, that 3 will remove this denominator and it will give us this form. So 3 times 1 here, 3 times 1, let me write out 3 times 1 equal 3 times 2x over 3 is minus 3 times y. So we multiply everything by 3. Once you multiply everything by 3, you will realize that you got your 3 here, and you got these two divide each other out, and minus 3y. So 2x minus 3y is equal to 2. And you have satisfied the question in that you have not only found your equation, which you did here, but you have also satisfied the examiner in that you have rewritten your answer the way the examiner wants it. This is exactly the same thing as that, but written in a different form. And this is how we would transform our answer to look the way that it is needed by the examiner. All right, let's look at another question. This one says a straight line passes through the point P negative 3, 5, has a gradient of 2/3, and we're supposed to write down the equation of that line in the form y equal mx plus c, which seems pretty straightforward enough. We can label our point as x1, y1, and we have our gradient m. So we write down our formula, y minus y1 is equal to m bracket x minus x1. Let's substitute now. Y minus 5, because y1 is 5, is equal to m, which is 2/3, bracket x minus, or 3 is negative, so let's make sure we have a negative 3. So we have y minus 5 is equal to 2/3, bracket x plus 3, because of this negative. So we can simplify the bracket, multiplying it out. Y minus 5 is equal to 2/3 x plus 236 over 3, which is 2. We'll simplify that in a moment. So we have y, rearranging this negative 5 to the other side of the equation, is equal to 2x over 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and this negative 5 is renamed as 5. So our answer now becomes y is equal to 2/3 x plus 7, and it is in the form y equal mx plus c. This is our y, this is our mx, this is our c. M is 2/3 and c is 7. Let's try another question. In this one, we are asked to find the gradient of the line that passes through these 2 points. And then we're asked to write down the gradient of any line perpendicular to it, and then we need to find an equation. So first, the line passes through the points A. A is 1, 1, and B is 5, negative 2. So we can label this one as x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. Because we need to find our gradient, we need to use our gradient formula. Gradient is equal to y2, take away y1, divided by x2, take away x1. So we can punch our information in there now. Negative 2, that's y2. Negative 2, take away 1, which is y1, divided by x2, which is 5, take away 1. So we end up with a gradient of negative 3 over 4. This is the gradient of the line that would pass through AB. So this is the gradient of AB. All right. The next thing to find is write down part B. So this is part A. Write down the gradient of any line perpendicular to this line. Now, if two lines are perpendicular, the product of their gradients is -1. So if we have a line with gradient m1 and we have a line with gradient m2, then when we multiply those two numbers, we get -1, which means that since we have our first gradient, in order to get our second gradient, we need to say that m2, gradient of our second line, is equal to -1 divided by -3 over 4, which turns out to be just +3 over 4. And let me do a bit of correction here, is equal to -1 divided by -3 over 4. In division, we have -1 times now -4 over 3, which gives us a +4 over 3. You may not want to take this long route to working it out. What you can remember is if you have a gradient, as in this case, where m1 is equal to -3 over 4, and you want the gradient of any line perpendicular to that line, then what you can do is to take this number, invert it, so it becomes positive, it becomes 4 over 3, and then you change the sign of the number. So your new gradient n2 would be equal to 4 over 3. So you take your old gradient, invert it from 3 over 4 to 4 over 3, then change the sign. And this is just a very easy way to think about it, because if two lines are perpendicular, then one gradient is the negative reciprocal of the other gradient. So the reciprocal of 3 over 4 is 4 over 3, but not just that, we change the sign as well, so that the gradient of any line perpendicular to another line is the negative reciprocal of whatever the gradient of the first line is. We have answered part B, so now we'll need to look at part C. Part C requires us to find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to AB and passes through this point. So we have our new gradient. Our new gradient is 4, 3 and 4 over 3. And we have our point that the line passes through, which is D, which is 3, 2. So we can apply our formula. Y take away y1 is equal to m, x take away x1. x1 is 3, y1 is 2, so we say y take away 2 is equal to 4 over 3 times x take away 3. Do the multiplication of the bracket. Y take away 2 is equal to 4x over 3 minus 12 over 3. 12 over 3 is 4, negative 4. We're going to rearrange that 2 on that side. So y is equal to positive 4x over 3 minus 4 plus 2, which gives us a final answer of 4x over 3 minus 2. So the equation of the line that is perpendicular to AB and passing through this point 3, 2 would have the equation in the form y equal mx plus c, y equal 4x over 3 minus 2. This is your m, that's your c. Next question. In this question, we are asked to find the gradient of the line AB, and then we are to write the equation of the line that is perpendicular to AB and passing through the origin. And we have another one here to write the equation of the line that is also parallel to AB and passing through the origin. But first we need to find our gradient. So let's find our gradient. We can find our gradient by using the graph. We already have a nicely drawn triangle. It's a right angle triangle, so it's perfect for calculating our gradient. Now we need to look at our rise and we need to look at our run. The rise is 7, so the rise is 7, so gradient is equal to rise over run. Our rise is 7, our run is 3.5, which tells us that our gradient is 2, but we need to be careful with this because this line is sloping from left to right, which means that this 2 is misleading. It is actually negative 2 because of the direction of the slope. So our answer therefore is negative 2. And if you use the rise over run, please remember to adjust your answer if the line slopes from left to right. If you had used the formula y2 take away y1 over x2 minus x1, you wouldn't have had this problem because the formula gives you the answer exactly the way it is, because the formula doesn't take in the slope of the line as you need to observe it from here. All right, now that we have our gradient, we need to look at how to find the first part. And the first part is write the equation of the line through O, and O is 0, 0. O is the origin, the coordinates are 0, 0. We need to write the equation of the line through O that is perpendicular to AB. Now, this is our gradient. For the gradient perpendicular to this line, the gradient of this line is negative 2. we want the gradient that is perpendicular to it, the gradient of the line or any line perpendicular to it. So we're going to take our 2, or negative 2, which can be written as negative 2 over 1. We are going to invert it. So we invert it, and it becomes 1 over 2. And then we change the sign from negative to positive. So here we're going to have the equation of our new line, m2. So not the equation, the new gradient. This is the gradient of this line, and this will be the gradient of any line perpendicular to it. Once we know that, we can write down the equation of our line. The question says it passes through the origin. The origin is 0, 0. So we have our m half, and the coordinate is 0, 0. So we can write down our formula, y take away y1 equal m into x minus x1, which gives us y minus 0 is equal to a half into x minus 0, and this simply gives us y equal a half x. So if you wanted to sketch this line, question doesn't require it, but just to show y equal a half x and passing through the origin, then your line would look something like this, and it would have an equation of y equal a half x passing through the origin and perpendicular to that. And perpendicular, as you probably remember, means to meet at right angles. All right. For the second part of the equation, we are asked to write the equation of a line that is parallel to AB and passing through O. Parallel lines have the same gradient. So if we want to write the equation of a line that is parallel to a given line, we need to use the same gradient. So our first gradient m was negative 2. We want a line parallel to it, so we're going to use the same gradient since they're parallel. And it passes through the point 0, 0, so we're going to use the same origin point. So y take away y1 is equal to m bracket x take away x1. Once we do that, we can put our information in. So we have y take away 0 equal negative 2 into x take away 0, which gives us a simple equation of y is equal to negative 2x. So this will be the line parallel to that one passing through 0, 0. And if you should sketch that line as well, and that line is going to look something like this, where it is parallel to, this has the equation y equal negative 2x. It is parallel to this line AB and perpendicular to the line y equal half x. Please remember to practice these as they come both on the multiple choice paper and they also show up on the paper 2. If you found this video useful and you would like more videos like it, if you're doing CXE, for example, and you're preparing for your exam, then subscribe, and as soon as the videos become available, you'll be able to watch them and continue your learning. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you benefited from this video.